We are making a souffle here, do you understand? Lines of credit, capital, acquisition, increased valuation. It's how you turn a small business into a big business. And it is fluffy, and it is delicious. But you can't agitate while it rises, otherwise, poof.
All right, who would watch a cooking show hosted by VM Varga? Any of you guys? Too dark? No? Maybe it's all the throwing up that he does? Anyways, I'm Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at RyanEricP. And today I'm breaking down the latest episode of Fargo, episode 5, The House of Special Purpose. But before I get started, remember to subscribe because we cover a whole lot more than just Fargo. In fact, my friends Chastity and Buddy are breaking down American Gods, and we also cover a whole lot more, including anime, wrestling, comic books, movies, and more. Check it out. So let's first start with the title of the episode, The House of Special Purpose. For you history buffs out there, that refers to the Russian Revolution and the fall of the Romanov dynasty, the last imperial family of Russia. The House of Special Purpose was the actual mansion where Tsar Nicholas II and his family were murdered. How does this connect with Fargo? Well, it could be foreshadowing of the upcoming threats that the Stussy family is currently facing. One from VM Varga and his associates, and the other from the Eden Valley Police Department. Now to the actual episode. We opened with Emmit Stussy driving his cozy BMW SUV while Mac Davis's It's Hard to Be Humble plays in the background. Has Emmett's success gone to his head? At times, possibly. Remember back one episode, Varga was the one that criticized Emmit for his expensive taste in clothes, cars, and mansion. Meanwhile, Emmett's wife Stella comes home to a mysterious package that says, Emmit Stussy for your eyes only. So what does one do when they see that type of package? They, of course, open it up. Inside is a DVD and a $100,000 blackmail note from what looks to be the Riddler.
I couldn't possibly continue on here. The memories.
Thank God it isn't. It was put together by an even more foolish pair. Ray and Nikki made the sex tape with Ray disguised as Emmit. I knew that wig would come in handy again. I really do love these two, but I find it hard to believe that Stella would be fooled by this. The local bank manager, possibly, but tricking Emmett's wife was too far of a stretch for me. It was also hard not to notice how cold and calculated Nikki was during this whole scheme. She seemed detached from any emotion while Ray was head over heels in love with her and even proposed to her.
Jesus.
I just love you so much.
No, for Pete's sake, I'm wearing a hooker wig.
Just like the disguise she puts on for the sex tape, Nikki is putting a total act on with Ray. She's definitely conned people before and has one goal right now, money. Meanwhile, Emmett's life is in total ruins. He finally gets home and sees his entire family leaving. He tries to stop them, but no one believes him. Back at the Stussy offices, Cy comes into work and finds Varga and his men waiting for him in his office. I have to admit, I was dying during this entire sequence. Varga stuffing his junk into Cy's world's best dad coffee mug.
A chicken is an egg's way of making another egg.
This has to be the best intimidation tactic ever, forcing Cy to drink water from the mug. I gotta give props to Michael Stolberg. His face was priceless during this entire sequence. He has been phenomenal this season. In short, Cy has been demoted in a pretty demeaning manner, and he knows not to say one word to the cops. Later on, Cy meets with Ruby Goldfarb. She's the rich widow who we find out is looking to acquire Stussy Lots Limited. At this point, it's clear that the best case scenario for Emmit and Cy is to sell to Ruby and get as far away from Varga and company as they can. During the meeting, Cy gets an emergency text from Emmit and has to leave early. I love the fact that Ruby thought he was playing hard to get. If she only knew the trouble they were in.
Enemies are at the gates! Inside the gates! Fornicating with our cookware!
Back at Emmett's house, he is distraught and questioning Cy's judgment and loyalty. This is obviously an extremely emotional time for the two, and Emmit finally gives Cy permission to fix the problem at any costs. So Cy calls up Nikki and plans to hammer out the details in person. At this point, I had a pretty good feeling there was going to be some violence involved. Here's one line that stood out to me during the conversation.
We got video evidence Emmett screwing his secretary. It's a fact.
It never happened!
That doesn't make it any less of a fact.
A fact is a statement that can be proven true, and Nikki and Ray are all about bending the truth. This is a theme that permeates throughout Fargo. Later on, Gloria and Winnie pick up Ray and bring him to the police station. We quickly learn that he's not the one you want getting interrogated. He is the obvious weak link in this blackmail scheme. New police chief Mo Damick is not happy with what he sees. He's extremely pissed off at Gloria for interrogating Ray. He believes that this is all a matter of coincidence, but Gloria is not giving up. She believes her story is the truth.
Once upon a time, a guy named Stussy hired an idiot to rob his brother, and the idiot drove to the wrong town and killed the wrong Stussy.
I hate that story. You know why? You can't prove it.
Back at the Stussy offices, we are introduced to a new character, Agent Larue Dollard from the IRS. He's visiting Emmit because of that $10,000 that Ray took from his bank account. So in actuality, Ray might have just saved his brother. Also, this guy should look familiar. That's Clark from Noah Hawley's other show, Legion.
We were ambushed at the pool. Men died, and I am going to finish what I started.
When has anyone been this excited to get a visit from the IRS? But Varga, as evil as he is, already has a plan to take care of this.
Was he wearing a ring? Did he mention kids? They can be used.
Finally, we meet up with Nikki and Sai, who are negotiating a final deal. Unfortunately for these two, Yuri and Mimo were following them. This is the moment we learn the difference between Sai and Varga's men. As Yuri beats on Nikki, we realize that Sai can't take the violence. He's no real killer. His shackles may be off, but he's not in the same league as these guys. I'll be honest, I was completely surprised that Nikki survived this. It sounded horrific. I, for one, underestimated what she's been through and how she's been able to survive. Nikki is able to crawl into the car and drive back home, and Ray finds her in the bathtub recovering from her beating, as World Party Ships of Fools plays in the background. Here's the understatement of the year: these two are in over their heads. The smartest move now would be to cut and run, but we know that won't happen because they're extremely foolish. And then episode 5 ends on an exclamation point with some fitting lyrics.
You will pay tomorrow. You gonna pay tomorrow. You will pay tomorrow.
Remember, last week Peter and the Wolf was referenced throughout the episode, so if Varga is in fact the wolf, everyone's gotta watch out. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Hit me up in the comments, and also hit me up on Twitter at RyanEricP. I'll be here next week for episode 6. See you then.